When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it?
Today we stand in commemoration to honor a man who, by the strength of his words, reshaped the national zeitgeist and reformed the conscience of America. We're gathering in his memory so that we might do likewise and reform this country through the power of sharing our thoughts, our ideas, the principles that undergird our actions.
What King Day means to me is a lot of things. The idea of reclaiming King means speaking to King with intention around his vision, around his ideas about justice, his ideas about liberation, and ultimately about moving this country forward. He had ideas that were resounded and resonated in multiple communities around how do we get better around justice, how can we get better around jobs, how can we get better around education, how can we get better around police abuse and police misconduct. And so when I speak to King and I think about King today, I'm inspired, I'm empowered, I feel good about today. I feel the fact that the numbers here alone speak to the fact that folks want to create a new idea and a new city based on King's ideals. And those ideals to me are ones that resonate with anybody. Those are ideals that we can want for our families, for our neighbors, for our children. And I think that today is only the beginning of our opportunity of having a year of activism, a year of work, a year of connecting, a year of networking, and a year of putting boots to the ground, feet in seats, and having conversations and dialogues around change. So King to me means a day of reclaiming. King to me means a day of celebrating, but ultimately to me, King means a day of justice, number 4, change for the people and by the people.
Martin Luther King was only 33 years old when he gave his I Have a Dream speech. He was 34 when he received the Nobel Peace Prize. He died at the age of 39. Look at all of the things he was able to accomplish with his young voice. Here in the city of Philadelphia, we have 50,000 people who are living here in the last 7 years who are under the age of 35, and oh, what we could do if we all made our voices heard.
I want us to be one beat today. Can y'all do with that for me? Can you do it for me? It goes like this.
We believe that movements begin with the telling of untold stories, and so it's important to share these stories in order to organize and build a movement to challenge racism and poverty.
Believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mother sons is as important as the killing of white men. White mother sons, oh, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. No, no, no. We who believe in freedom will not rest until it comes. I love you. You are my family. This is my city. I will stand with you always.
I think we should support our young people's energy. I think that the fact that young people have caught fire on this issue is important. We should broaden them, make them aware of the scope of the depth of the problems, because I think they only see the tip of the iceberg. And then I think we have to be responsible and understand that while young people can raise our attention to issues, ultimately we who are in position of authority and power by virtue of being adults have to make responsible decisions to implement social change. I mean, young people have throughout history brought attention to social issues, but it's adults in the sober halls of power, whether that be economic or political or religious, that have to implement those changes in a way that's meaningful. So, you know, whether it's a school, a job, or a government or a business, we need to make sure that we're, you know, walking the walk and not just talking the talk.
First off, I would like to thank you all for the privilege of addressing you today. It is truly a blessing to be a part of this renewed movement for the liberation of African people from the unrelenting grips of white supremacy. It is a centuries-old struggle, a struggle rooted in our appeal of the contradiction that is the United States of America. I, along with many of my comrades, was born in the early 90s. To us, Dr. King was a neatly packaged image of a man who used civil disobedience to barter peace between the races. To many of us, this movement had came to a screeching halt. We had won. But in our ghettos and even in the suburbs where some of us lived out parts of the American dream, we were reminded of our color and that we lived in what Dr. King called two Americas.
Philadelphia is more divided along race, class, and gender lines than at any time in recent memory. We are two cities, one of privilege and wealth, the other of poverty, police brutality, low and poverty wages, collapsed schools, and collapsing neighborhoods. Of America's 10 largest cities, we are the poorest. Close to 70% of our citizens live in or very near poverty. Our children suffer the most, and far too many are wrapped in lives of misery and hopelessness.
Dr. King said, we as a people will get to the promised land. Well, here's my promised land. I see black people in better houses, not the projects, but nice neighborhoods. I see kids playing in a hot summertime with water guns and sprinklers all around the neighborhood without being afraid. When the community police ride by, they just wave and let them be on their way. I see us as a whole working together to make something bigger and better, not keeping to yourself. I see in my paradise full funding for our schools everywhere and more public schools. We will raise the salaries of our teachers, counselors, and nurses because they deserve it, and their very important job is our education and safety. I also see more black-owned businesses. We need more and better job opportunities for young people. I'm not just talking about the people who graduate from the best high schools. I'm talking about better job opportunities for graduates of Benjamin Franklin. Better job opportunities for graduates of Strawberry Mansion. Better job opportunities for all public schools all over. And I see us working and fighting together and not fighting each other. And you know what else I see? No more war. Dr. King once said, the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today is my own government. I cannot be silent. Do anyone know how much they spend on war? Not millions, not billions, trillions. Does anyone know how much that money can be used for? School funding, build more schools, more and better paying jobs for everyone, more housing, more health care, more for all people. Everything would be so much better. The violence we see is not just in war, though. It's a denial of these resources, jobs, housing, education, to the black, to the poor, the immigrant communities. It's the denial of these resources to all people. It is the closing of our schools. It is the policing of our communities. That is state violence. The state is violence. And we will not be silent. These are all the things we need. All the things we deserve. And to get the things we deserve, we have to fight together, recruit together, build together, stand together, stay together, fall together, get back up together, make improvements on the plan together, see what went wrong together. So the only way we can win if we do this together. Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream, y'all. Let's make the dream come true.
I felt like I needed to be here. It really put into perspective. Some things have gotten better, but a lot of things have gotten worse. He's a great young African-American young man with a lot of aspirations. I just want him to be able to grow and to make his goals without being stopped, frisked, pushed on the ground. If his hands are up and have to surrender to not be able to get where he needs to go. I am a proud black mom with a proud black son, and I respect and know the police. My father was a former, my deceased father was a former police officer. I have much love for the police.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. Black lives. Matter. All right. When we say that Black Lives Matters, it is a reminder to ourselves and it is a warning to them that yes, Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Yes, Black lives matter, but it's not only that Black lives matter, Black living matters as well. Black living matters as well. Because there's a difference between living and being alive. So we're trying to be alive, we're trying to live. The economics have measures for people who are alive, right? They say that if you have economics, if you have posts, if you have certain things, you are alive. So we're trying to add substance to Black lives so that Black lives are not just alive, but that we are living as well. That we are living as well, that we are flourishing people. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a poem today. It's called Black Boys. And this is what they are telling our youth. This is what they are feeding them. And this is what some of us believe. But I'm here to tell you that there's something different. Black boys born beneath the sunlight scorn. Skin torn, tattered, and tatted up. Tattoos plastered up from ankle to Adam's apple, what? Black boy always in battle, what? Black boy always on the brink of death because death is the only finish line in this race of black boys, what? They say black boy leading every race besides human. Say black boy always be assuming, never comprehending what black boy aren't you always winning. They say you're massaging all these women into misogyny. They say don't you refer to all your murder victims as bodies, what? Black boy must be depressed because the only few black boys left are sick and dying. Black boy is sick and tired of being sick and tired, but the black boy remedy is a pill to cactus to swallow, swell up in your windpipe. Black boy blows weed wind-like to ease the burden. Black boy backed on no break, only burden. Black boy get high to leave the ghetto and dwell suburban. Black boy get high to escape. Black boy take shots to get wasted or take shots to get wasted to get makeshift to the day shift and the wasteless and gunshots leave all them black boys wasted. Spilled crimson on the concrete basin of black bloods in the Crips banging beneath the gun blue sky. By God, black boy ain't no stranger to cemetery. By God, black boy ain't no foreigner to morgue. Rest assured, black boy can't be deaf, can't abolish slavery in this new context. Black boy too complex. Say call black boys greedy, calls his mother a queen. Ain't seen no father figure, so he figures he's a queen. And scientists swear there's a defect in our genes. Hanging off our butt like it isn't already hard enough to walk. Says Negro every other word like it isn't already hard enough to tackle for black boys. Black boy be vulgar, black boy be ignorant, black boy be belligerent, black boy be everything besides innocent in the court of law. Where everybody get freedom, they get on black boy's life. And we just looking for a savior because we ain't got no saviors, our own complexion. Black boy destined for doom. Black boy don't believe in God, only worship at no doom. Too black to raise a son, but dark enough to hold the moon. Too black to fill an app, but dark enough to fill a tomb. I say, hold, black boy. Don't you know you are beautiful? Don't you know you are chiseled from the sturdiest of mountains? Black boy, you are a fountain to wash away your woes. But the black boy knows not of his own power and his realness. The revolutions last as zillions. I say, black boy, don't you know you are brilliant? Or Frederick D, or Booker T, or Malcolm X, MLK, W.E.B., Du Bois, black boy. Black boy, you are everything they're afraid of. So they enslave us to our own black complex. Black boy, you are too complex to understand. But you are the origin of man. I say you are the origin of man. I say you are the origin of man. And in the absence of light, you're the universe's plan. Black boy.
I feel that the American dream and MLK's dream is a far cry for most persons of color here in the United States. You know, we just look at the economic justice. We can even just look at our schools where over $700 million is given to the charter schools but not given to our public schools, where over 20 schools were closed down in the city of Philadelphia. But millions were given to the prison system to build new prisons. That right there tells you about the injustice and the inequality here in Philadelphia that we have to fight against and that we have to strive to change.
Yeah, we suffer as a nation, and there's also a massive global inequality, you know, and I think, you know, Dr. King talked about the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and materialism, and today we see that the U.S. is prioritizing prison spending over education. The U.S. is prioritizing spending on militarism over education, and so, you know, there are people of all colors are struggling with economic exploitation here in the city, and until our nation prioritizes creating a system of economic justice, then everybody will continue to suffer while our money is squandered on wars abroad and incarceration and racism here at home.
What is free speech?
What is free speech?
Yeah.
Free speech, that was random, out of nowhere. Free speech is a right. It's the right to say whatever you want to say without the penalty of being come down upon by the law. It's the right to basically express yourself and your opinion without the fear of or the penalty, a punishment for that, as long as you're not threatening anyone or trying to incite any violence.
And why are you here today?
I'm here today to support the many coalitions and organizations out here I see doing great work around the city, and to, as they say, reclaim MLK.
Free speech is being able to say what's in your heart.
And why are you here today?
I'm here with my church, Circle of Hope. We believe in peace and justice that Jesus is bringing, and we want to see it right now in Philadelphia.
Freedom of speech is freedom, free will, you know, to exercise your right, your human rights to do what you love, your passion, in a positive manner.
We are organizing for $15 an hour and the right to form a union. I make $7.60 an hour after working 6 years at the same Popeyes. I am a single mother of my wonderful son, Jaden, and we just can't make it off of $7.60.
My name is Seth DeMartile, and I'm a member of 15 Now Philly, a low-wage worker and a student. I work as a canvasser making $11 an hour, and without the support of my family, I would be homeless. Because of anti-transgender bigotry at payroll, I haven't even seen a paycheck yet, despite having been employed for a month. I want to live in a world where poor workers, whether they're trans workers like me or black workers or any other minority, aren't fighting for scraps but living with dignity. Martin Luther King Jr., who's honored today, called for a multiracial army of the poor to fight for justice. We at 15 Now and Fight for 15, alongside every single person here today, are answering that call and fighting for the city of Philadelphia to set a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour for all workers.
And what is Jobs for Justice?
Jobs with Justice is, well, in part I think they're one of the groups calling for a $15 minimum wage. Which, you know, in the spectrum of things, if we ask for 15, hopefully we'll get 12. But asking for 10, you know, we're going to get 8. So I push for 15.
Talk to me about that sign.
My name is Dawn. I'm a parent leader for Action United. We're a community organization that fights for low-income and moderate families. We fight for justice, education, paid sick days, whatever it is that we need to fight for, that's what we do. Our recent victory was getting Governor Corbett out of office. Yay! So we just let him know that education is the key for our children here in Philadelphia, and we let them know that we're not playing. When you cut education, build prisons, your butt got to go, and we let them know that one-term time. See you.
Brandon Tate Brown, my oldest son, 26 years old, was gunned down December 15, 2014. I have no clues to why. I have no proof of what happened, even though there's footage and it was in the business area. I'm not gonna harp on that right now because I'm not here for that. What I would like to say is, we, us, the people, we the people, FOP, and the civilians and citizens of America, we need to learn how to love ourselves and one another and fight for each other instead of each other. We need to care and learn about our ancestors and what they did for us, and why we can vote today, why we can protest. It is in our propensity to survive oppression, suppression, depression, but not regression, no more. We need to know our rights as citizens, and just maybe, my son Brandon would be here today. He would have been better equipped to defend himself verbally. We want new laws that includes police officers not being above the law and held accountable for all their actions and reactions. Philadelphia, we must not waver. We have to stand in masses. Please, God bless you.
In order to move us forward, we're going to need multiple entities, multiple programs, all demographics to come together to understand how we can move with a serious level of momentum towards the freedoms that we all seek. I will offer this as an idea. When it comes to an issue, if your neighbor were to have a burglar running in their house, and you're watching from your window, and you're seeing the whole thing happen, and you allow that crime to occur without stepping in, without calling 911, you see them terrorize the home right next door to you. You see them burn the house next door to you. What are you going to do? Are we just going to let things fall idly by, or are we going to step in and stop it, even though it's ideally not affecting me personally, but it's affecting my neighbor? If it's the house right next to you, what can we do? And so, to me, the ideals of pulling together various forces, pulling together various families, pulling together various ages and races and demographics, income backgrounds, it's important because what affects one is, in the end, going to affect us all. It might not affect me today, but it's going to affect me tomorrow. And so having that type of understanding that moves us forward, that's progressive, will allow for the change that we want to see. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care if you're a professor in the classroom. I don't care if you're working here at Independence Mall, or I don't care if you're the one that has to clean up the streets tonight. At the end of the day, we ought to be one unit, working for change with fervor and ready to go and change the city and change the country. Because one thing I do know is this country is not going to move forward doing the same things that we have been doing for the last so many years. We need a change. We need a shift in the paradigm of our consciousness, and we need a shift in the way in which we do things, from our elected officials to our nurses to how we just legislate. And so I'm here for that change.
We assure you change is on the way.
Talk to me about that sign.
It's my message today, one I'm chanting with everyone in the city, one that I think is the most important message this March, Black Lives Matter, period.
And what is free speech to you?
Free speech, to me, is that we can all come out here, link arms, say this message, mean it from the heart, have nobody impede us.
Well, we're just here being supportive of the march. We're being supportive around the three issues that we want to address in the city, and that is justice, jobs, and education. So this really is a coalition of people. We're not all the same. We don't have all the same religious, philosophical worldviews. We actually differ on some things, but the things that we agree on is our common humanity. Everybody deserves a job. Everybody deserves a good education. Everybody deserves a good life in the city of Philadelphia. And so this really is the beginning of a movement to remind Philadelphia about our common humanity.
Where do we go from here?
Where we go from here is begin to address those three issues that are being lined out today. The issues of independent review board for all activity, police activity that ends in violence, properly student-weighted funded formula so that we have properly funded education, and pressing for a minimum wage that is a livable wage, which equates to $15 an hour, which is the same thing that they were asking for 50 years ago if you do the inflation. So we're just saying, if people are paid well, if people are educated well, if people are respected, this city will live up to its name, City of Brotherly Love.
Last question, what is freedom of speech to you?
Freedom of speech to me is both the privilege of saying what's on my heart and the responsibility of being respectful to all that hear it.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I just thought it was a progressive movement. I just wanted to be a part of it.
If you're a servant leader and you're somebody who
Freedom of speech to me is everything, because I feel like without
What
being
we
able
gonna
to
do tomorrow?
effectively
We're going to work. Fight
communicate,
for fair wages. Fight for the right
there
to
is no
organize.
progress, and if there's no
Fight for the
progress,
right
then there's
for
no
a
life.
union.
Free speech is just having the ability to peaceably assemble like this, be able to say what you believe without fear of reprisals. And I think it's a perfect example of what Philadelphia is all about.
We're here to stand in solidarity to fight against police injustice, to fight for higher minimum wage, and we're also here to fight for funds for education.
What is freedom of speech to you guys?
Freedom of speech? Basically, freedom of speech means to speak how you feel, to have your point across, to have how you feel addressed to the public, because we're not getting that. And that must be addressed to our communities, not just for us, but for our children.
Somebody say Black Lives Matter.
They say Black Lives Matter. I believe all lives matter.
This is Dr. Martin Luther King's Day. We're here to celebrate his legacy, but more importantly, we're here to make sure that it lives on. And my hope for the city of Philadelphia is that every young person understands what he was able to accomplish and then does their part to make sure his legacy lives on.
The people
united. We'll never